Holy Mirepoix, Batman. A Holy Trinity and a Mirepoix dried blend that you can store on your shelf for whenever you need it at any time. Hi folks, it's Darcy from the Purposeful Pantry, and we talk about dehydrating here all the time. And today we're taking a staple, or two staples actually, in any kind of cuisine, and we're going to make dried seasoning blends out of it so that you have it all the time. So first, what exactly is a Holy Trinity, and what exactly is Mirepoix? All right, both of these are the blends that typically start the meals for a lot of things that you cook. For Holy Trinity, which is typically Cajun, it is 1 part onion, 1 part bell pepper, which tends to be green, and 1 part celery. Mirepoix is French. It's Mirepoix, M-I-R-E-P-O-I-X. It's Mirepoix. It is 2 parts onion, 1 part celery, 1 part carrot. Now these are the things that you would typically, when they tell you anything, put 1 carrot, 1 onion, or half an onion and celery, chop them up finely, then sweat them in your skillet. You don't have to do that anymore. You've done it once, it's dried, it's on your shelf. Pulse them out and you're ready to go. You can go ahead and prep this, cook it, then dry it if you want to make it more instant. I'm just going to go ahead and dry it like it is. Let's get started. Now, a lot of people might like to do these blends, chop them up and freeze them and put them in little baggies, and so when they're ready to cook, they can just take them out of the freezer, put them in their pan, and get going. That is a great way to meal prep. When you're doing one, you might as well do a lot. That way you have it in your freezer all the time. But I'm going to give you a method that makes it shelf stable so you can save your freezer room. So here are our pieces after I did the first round of the carrots. Our family doesn't tend to like big chunks of vegetables in their food, so I get them up as small as I can. Still have it in there, but they're not as noticeable. And also, because I'm not terribly traditional in how I do this, I'm not gonna clean this thing out between each round. A few little bits extra isn't gonna hurt anybody or any flavor enough to care. And there are our peppers. And here are our onions. Now this is also something for those of you who find that you dehydrate celery and don't like how it rehydrates and it's still chewy and spongy. Try this. Try getting it into smaller bits so that you don't have such a large piece to have to deal with, and the mouthfeel may be different for you. All right, so here we go. Our ratio may not be exactly right, but it's going to be pretty close. So we've got enough celery to cut in half between both the Trinity and the Mirepoix. Mirepoix carrots, Trinity peppers. We're going to cut this kind of like in thirds so that we have 1 part for Trinity, 2 parts for Mirepoix. I'm going to mix these together, or you can just dehydrate them on their own trays and mix them after they're dry. It's totally up to you. Okay, first we're going to go ahead and start laying out the peppers. You can use fruit leather sheets, you can use silicone sheets, you can use whatever you want. You might think I have this packed pretty tightly, but they're going to dry quickly and then shrink, and so you're going to have plenty of space. You can go through here and just kind of smush it around as it dries if you need to. And spread the carrots next. Okay, we are not going to blanch these carrots ahead of time. If you follow traditional dehydrating guidelines, you would blanch these first because it stops the enzyme that creates carrots to lose their color and over time. So that's why your carrots may turn white as they're on the shelf. But because we're using these in the next few months, and because of what I'm going to probably do with these at the end, I'm not going to blanch them. They're going to be fine. So if you want long-term storage, what you might want to do is go ahead and either blanch these or sweat them out in a skillet without any fats. A little bit of water, just sweat them and get them cooked down, and then you can do this. We have all of our food in, and what I did is I put my protector plastic tray on the bottom to catch the last little bit of that onion that I put in a not so fine mesh sheet. If it falls out, it's going to fall into there. Onions, peppers, carrots and peppers, celery and onion, celery. Okay, we are going to set this at 125 and we're going to let it go. All right, see you tomorrow. Now you'll see here what happens when my onions turn pink and my peppers turn a little brown. I'll tell you ahead of time, it's all fine. All right, as we go through here, I wanted to show you we have pink onions. Pink onions are fine, okay? I'll have a video up here for you to show you how and why that is, but it's fine. It's just they were over processed in the processor, and the sugar is caramelized a little bit. So I did want to show you that my peppers, because they were really sugary, did get a little over brown, but that's fine. That's like roasted peppers. I'm fine with that. They taste fine. And then my carrots look sad, just because carrots can look sad. I didn't blanch them. They're not going to be perfect. Then we have celery. Now let's go get started on making our blends. Okay, for both of these recipes, there's a ratio. Mirepoix is 1 part carrot, 1 part celery, 2 parts onion. The Holy Trinity is 1 part equal for peppers, onions, and celery. But I'm not going to worry so much about getting this exactly right. So I'm going to take each tray and just split it between each mixture. So I'm going to do 1 bowl of Mirepoix, 1 bowl of Holy Trinity. Here is our celery. Okay, now here is a little bit of a problem that I don't have quite the ability to just split these easily because I didn't think ahead. I thought, sure, putting them on one tray is going to be just fine. So what I'm going to do is take my carrots, put them in our Mirepoix, and if a little carrot gets in the Holy Trinity, I'm not going to cry about it. And if a little pepper gets in my Mirepoix, I'm not going to cry about it again. How many of you are old enough to remember you got your peanut butter in my chocolate? You got your chocolate in my peanut butter? Good enough. Do this in here. Good enough. All right, now we have a tray of onions and celery. We're just going to go ahead and throw them in here. Equal parts, equal parts, equal parts. And if yours, like, I don't know if you can see this right here. Can we see that? When you get clumps like that, it's easy enough just to break it up with your hands. When you mix it up, it'll work just like that with no problem whatsoever. Of course, you can store all of this in individual ingredients and just mix it as you go. So how do you store this? Now this is a step you can take on your own if you want to or not. It's not necessary. Sometimes it's helpful, but it's certainly not something that you absolutely have to do. You can now, at this point, vacuum seal. Now, typically I would tell you to condition, but these have been drying for, oh, don't do that yet. We're not canning. These have been drying for so long because I needed them to dry that they are good and dry. I don't have to condition them. So if this were something that you needed to do to condition, I would put it in a jar with a little more space than this, like maybe put less in there between 2 jars if you need to, and you would shake it up every day so that you have plenty of room to shake it. So you're looking for things sticking together, forming clumps. You're looking for things that when you turn it over and they stick to the top and they don't easily shake off with a slight shake, those kind of things that need to go back in the dehydrator, dry some more, and then start your storage point at that point. But again, this vacuum sealing, use whatever vacuum sealer you have. I wish that I could say that I could recommend this one. I can't anymore, but I still use mine because it works. So whatever vacuum sealer that you have, use it. So now that I have this, what do I do with it? Okay, got both jars marked, ready to go. Now what do you do with these at this point? What I generally do is I take about a 1/4 cup of each mixture when I'm ready to do this, and I will rehydrate it in some water in the fridge overnight. You can also put it in your skillet, add a little water, and while it's rehydrating, it's also going to warm, because the thing about Mirepoix and Holy Trinity, the point is not to caramelize them as much as it is to sweat them. And so you're wanting things that are soft but not necessarily caramelized. And so this, you can cut down on your time. Man, it already smells. It's already been in there for a second and I'm already smelling the smell. So as it rehydrates in this warm water, which will help it rehydrate a little faster than the soaking method, you're also then letting it sweat and get soft while it's warming up as you prepare a meal. So this is the way that you can get it started as well. I'm a genius. This is what you want to do with it. Now, in your family, if it's like mine, you might have some that have a texture issue of anything that's like chunky in their food. I have a son who has a high sensitivity to texture. And so there are things that he just does not like. He doesn't mind the flavor of them, it's the texture. But I found a trick to making these things still have flavor without people having to bite into the things that cause problems. I've created these. And so you know the recipes will be in the description box below on my blog so that you can print off the recipe cards for yourself. Okay, because I forgot to turn on the camera again, thought I had. I ran my Holy Trinity leftovers through my grinder in my Nutri Ninja bullet blender. So I had a little jar here full of the powder. What I've got is this little powder right here. And I add about a tablespoon of this into a meal, so it's gonna give me the flavor as if I added a full cup of fresh. But this allows me to have the flavor of the Holy Trinity without actually having any of the texture in it. So I know that it doesn't replace the bulk that you get with that, but we make up for it in other ways. And here's what your powder looks like. Oop. Here's what your powder looks like up close. Now the cool thing that you can do with this, if you wanted, you could do a whole mixture with salt and garlic in here all at the same time and have a Holy Trinity like seasoning blend. That would work really, really well. You know, you could add whatever seasonings you like and then just create your own seasoning blend that your family will love. And now what we have is our Mirepoix seasoning blend. Carrots, celery, onions, garlic, and salt. If you wanted to add pepper to it, you could do that as well, whatever you'd like. So store these the same way that you would store your dry goods, airtight container, just like this. It's fine. Here is what the soaking method looks like for your Mirepoix. This is what the soaking method looks like for your Holy Trinity. These would be fine to use just as they are. Just like I did in the pan method when I did them in the pan, you could put this in your pan and then allow some of that moisture to escape. That way not have to waste the water because it'll flavor everything. And if the thought of putting these kind of preparations up makes sense to you and you want to see how to do something else that would make your cooking life easier, watch this video on how to dehydrate frozen vegetables so that they're ready for you anytime. And until I see you again next time, keep preserving.